The COVID-19 pandemic has really changed virtually everything from philosophical debates about how to interpret virus data to public actions that should follow. It's changed our interactions. It stopped century-long traditions. Just look at college football. I mean, SEC starting at the end of September. The Florida State coach, Mike Norvell, tonight is going to watch the Miami game on television. Tom Rinaldi joins us now. Tom, just the scope of this COVID-19 pandemic has been overwhelming.
That's so true, Reese, but perhaps one of the best ways to understand that scope is not the big picture, but the small one, the challenges and choices that shape individual lives. One such choice was made by an assistant coach really just at the start of his career, who swapped the sidelines for the front lines of this pandemic, and he's still there.
Tagovailoa fires to the end zone, touchdown! Alabama wins!
We got 30 minutes for the rest of our lives!
If so many boys grow up dreaming of playing college football,
He's going for the corner! He's got it!
Alex Charlton's dream was a bit different.
I remember as a freshman in high school, I wrote every college coach in the country a letter, asking for advice on how to get into coaching.
And Charlton did, on the staff at Kansas, until 2015, when a coaching change cost him his spot. Charlton wondered what he'd do next. His brother had an answer.
He asked, what about being a nurse? I remember those were his exact words, and for whatever reason, a light bulb turned on in my head, and I just liked the idea. I want to make a difference in this world, and that was it for me.
Charlton graduated from nursing school in 2018 and started work at a hospital in Lawrence. But something was missing.
This past January and February, I was writing coaches' letters again, and I applied for numerous GA roles, quality control roles.
In March, Charlton went back to coaching football at Division II Midwestern State in northern Texas.
I saw my last patient at 4 o'clock. Went home, packed my bags. The next morning at 4 in the morning, I drove down to Wichita Falls on that Wednesday.
He wasn't afraid to voice his opinion. He jumped in and fit right in with what we were doing. We had a scrimmage on Wednesday the 11th and team meeting on the 12th.
Several breaking developments involving the coronavirus here in the U.S. Across the country, the number of cases growing.
Scores of colleges and universities also canceling classes.
Our AD was saying that we're going to pause for a couple days next week after spring break.
With the future uncertain, Charlton returned to Kansas, and that's when his phone started ringing.
I get all these calls and emails about jobs because they need the help. I mean, New York's in a crisis, and they need nurses.
Charlton left the sidelines of coaching for the front lines of COVID at the country's epicenter, New York City.
The lowest point ever, and this happened multiple times, was me having to tell somebody that their family member died, and looking down at somebody and putting them in a body bag and zipping them away. And you want to help and you want to save everybody. I mean, we know that you can't, but it doesn't get easier.
People across the city tried to ease that burden, paying tribute every night to medical workers.
That applause, that support, it tells me that there are a lot of good people in this world. It's nice to receive the recognition, it is, and I appreciate it, and I needed it, but I wish none of it ever happened.
All right, sir, I'm going to start an IV on you, and we're going to draw some blood.
Charlton spent 10 weeks at Mount Sinai Beth Israel Hospital. In June, he returned to Texas to learn Midwestern State would not be playing this season, but Arkansas State would be.
A couple years ago, I get a letter from Alex, realized that there were some places and some people that we had in common. He would stay in touch with me. He's very persistent, and he would always just kind of check in and say, Coach, thinking about you. I hope things are well. Keep me in mind if something is available in the future.
By the end of July, Charlton was a grad assistant.
My only guarantee was Alex was he could have as many honey buns out of the snack closet as he wanted. We'd give him a t-shirt and a hook on the wall, and we'd let him work as much as he wanted to every day.
He welcomed me to the family, and that right there was probably the happiest moment of my life, or close to it.
Charlton spent 2 weeks on staff until a call came from another hospital in another hotspot, and he couldn't ignore it.
It was great being there, and to be quite honest, I miss it to this day. But I realize that we're still in this pandemic.
Alrighty, I'm gonna get your blood pressure, temperature.
Told him I'd pray for him and support him, and hey, just stay in touch, and hopefully one day down the road we'll be able to get him back.
Football will always be there, and that's my future. But right now, I need to see this through and do what I can to help.
Alex Charlton was scheduled to work 76 hours across 6 shifts at his ER at Ennis Medical Center in Texas. But when we spoke yesterday, he was going in early, called in to help with a gunshot victim being brought into the emergency room. He still sees COVID cases each day, but keeps his eye on college football, Reese. And in doing so, he traded texts with Blake Anderson after the Arkansas State big win over Kansas State. Arkansas State, which of course has its game postponed due to COVID.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.